All right, everyone. So let's start. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us in today's webinar. I'm Divya, and I'm the HR Generalist at Tatvic Analytics. For all our users who are joining us for the first time in a webinar, let me give you a brief introduction of who we are. Tatvic Analytics is an authorized reseller, consultant, and premium partner of full-stack Google Marketing Platform and Google Cloud Platform. We are also one of the top cloud for marketing solution providers, along with digital analytics solutions for large enterprises and unicorn startups in India, UAE, Singapore, and North America. Today's session is an introduction to Google Analytics 4. GA4 was released in October 2020 with several new features, and hence GA4 presents several advantages over the previous version of Google Analytics. So let's begin to dig deeper into GA4. So today I have Abhijeet Kaku and Malvi Modi with me, who are Customer Success Manager at Tatvic. Hi Abhijeet, hi Malvi. All right, so just a few things before we start. I'll brief you guys on how to interact in today's webinar. We have planned this to be an interactive session, and hence, while we are taking a poll, or if and when you have questions during the webinar, you will have to use the third icon towards the top right end of your screen. Click on this to answer during the poll time. For any questions, please make sure that you type the question in the Q&A section and not in the chat section. I'll bring them up at the end of the presentation, and we'll be sure to answer as many questions as time permits. Beginning with today's webinar, let me quickly summarize what are we going to cover. So we will start with first understanding why GA4 is the future, data collection and processing in GA4, new capabilities in GA4, and we will also cover reporting, analytics, and insights in GA4. Along with that, we will also see how to set up Google Analytics 4 and how to create reports in Google Analytics 4. So let's begin with the session. I'll hand over now to Abhijeet.
Thank you, Divya. Thank you for the quick introduction of the webinar. We will be glad to take it forward. So hi all, thank you for joining us. It's great to see such a huge audience here on this webinar. My name is Abhijeet and I am a CSM here at Tatvic. And along with me is my colleague Malvi, as introduced before. So looking at this webinar, Introduction to GA4, we know that data-driven decisions are very vital in helping our businesses grow the right way. And as analytics enthusiasts, we love data. Right, we love to look at year over year or quarter by quarter data to back the changes, campaign strategies, and more. And this next generation of GA4 is capable of all. Right. So now I understand that we all are excited about GA4. So let's not wait more and start off with the webinar. So this is the outline that we are able to see on the screen. Since this webinar has some newbies of GA4 as well, and so hence we have tried to keep the topics and outlines very straight, interesting, and also easy to understand. So as a part of this webinar, we are going to cover why GA4 is the future, which will have the introduction, benefits, and features of GA4. We will also discuss about the data collection and processing, which will have some topics like collection and configuration limits. We will also cover new capabilities, where we will briefly showcase you the favorite new capabilities of GA4. We will get to the best part here in this webinar, which is the key difference, which is the most important according to me. And we will provide an overview of what's changed in GA4 from universal analytics that we have. And we are also going to cover some other important topics such as reporting, where we will give you a quick summary of all the reporting in GA4. We will help you out how the analysis and insights we will have, and we'll be talking about the same on the reports. And yes, we will also talk on automatically generated and also how you will be able to create the custom insights in GA4. And last but not the least, we will help you out with the prerequisites, that what exactly are the prerequisites for GA4 and Then we'll give you a quick summary and key takeaways of what exactly have you achieved out of this webinar. So that is great, and we are now familiar with the webinar topics that are to be covered. Let's begin with to understand what GA4 is and why we call it as the future of next generation of Google Analytics. So first, I would like to have a very clear understanding here that this is an entirely new version of GA4.
So, Abhijeet, does this mean it is an upgrade from Universal Analytics to GA4?
Yes, Malvi, this is a very good question, and I have heard this from multiple clients about this. So first, I would like to clear a very common misconception on GA4 here, that it is an upgrade to Universal Analytics, which is not correct. But this will not replace your Universal Analytics properties. It will simply add a GA4 property and start sending the information then and there. So you will, however, you will see an option here to set up your Universal Analytics property to GA4, but that doesn't mean that Universal Analytics is going anywhere. It will still be there, and you will have GA4 with you as well. So let me just give you a brief overview of what has actually happened for GA4. So GA4, which was formerly called as Atlas Web and is the future of analytics, is not an upgrade to your properties. It is an entirely new version of GA that uses an event-driven data model, which is designed to allow for flexibility in collecting analytics data from both web and app platforms. And the best part here, it also comes with an entirely new set of reports based on this new data model as well. Also, the UI is changed, so you will get to know a different user experience for GA4 as well. So by uniting the core concepts from Universal Analytics and Google Analytics for Firebase, Google is creating a singular platform capable of working efficiently and consistently across the variety of digital platforms that we are using today. Right. So since I just said that GA4 has united the core concepts from UA and Firebase, and it has certainly improved the way we look at GA, as GA4 is unified offering for user-centric analytics across app and web. The best of Google Analytics and Google Analytics for Firebase are combined here for fast and flexible reportings. So
Abhijeet, I have a real-time scenario here where the client was not sure whether they should go for GA4 or not, as they have just website and no app.
Yes, Malvi. I have also heard such kind of queries concerns from clients. So I understand that there might be some clients where they do not have an app; they just have a website of their own. So the answer here will be that if they want to access a new flexible reporting options like ad hoc funnel, path analysis, and other key differences and features that we are going to discuss, then they should set up a new GA4 property. It doesn't mean that if you do not have web and app together that you should not go for GA4. But there are other features that GA4 offers, and we should surely go for that. So the answer is yes. If we want to access the new flexible reporting options, then we should set up a new GA4 property. Yeah. So coming on to the next introduction phase. So GA4 has some advanced analysis, which is available for all GA4 properties, and it enables more custom reporting and funnel analysis as well. Right. So reports in GA4 properties UI are customizable, including the attribution model. So GA4 properties will also offer a much faster reporting interface and additional improvements to capabilities with real-time data, especially when given its simpler data model and less reliance on processing. So when there is a less reliability on processing, then it means that yes, it will give you a very quick offering of all the reports and ready-to-make insights as well. Right. So also there is one important point that GA4 has a machine learning at its core to automatically surface the helpful insights and give you a complete understanding of your customers across devices and platforms. One more important point is that it has a privacy-centric by design. So you can rely on the analytics even as your industry changes, like restrictions on cookies and identifiers create gaps in your data. So this new GA will give you essential insights you need to be ready for the next, right? So for the web platforms, GA4 new capabilities with a completely new data collection model. It has a new interface, as I mentioned, and it has new functionalities as well. Just a quick difference between these two is that has a focus on combining both your mobile and your web data so that you can view, track, and manage all in just one platform, right? So it was often difficult to understand previously that how your web and app data fit together, but GA4, which is built on Firebase, it allows for seamless app and web tracking. So the next is the benefits of GA4 property. So I'd like to mention here what are the benefits. When we talk about like GA4, there might be a common query that a client may ask, like why we should go for a GA4 property. So there are four key major points that I would like to mention. First is the scale. It scales with your business. So GA4 properties can measure all the online interactions, giving you a complete, relevant, and timely understanding of customer journey. It measures, unifies, deduplicates all the interactions people have with your company across devices and platforms. So it gives you a complete, relevant, and timely understanding of the customer journey. And as I mentioned about the data privacy, it adapts to the changing environment as well. It offers a responsible, durable measurement that enables business outcomes for the long term while meeting the user expectations for privacy. So this is the next best feature of GA4. And one of the key features that I would like to mention is the intelligent business insights. So when I say intelligent business insights, it's something that is related to machine learning, and we know that right? And when I say the most important part, that it reveals the intelligent business insights. So when I say that, it means that there are machine learning associated with it. So we know that machine learning has been a focus of Google and has already been integrated into products such as Search, Gmail, and Google Maps. But what about Google Analytics? So now this time Google has integrated the machine learning into Google Analytics. So now you can rest easy knowing that Google will do much of the heavy lifting when it comes to data analysis and audience segmentation, which will allow you to focus on your most important initiatives. It will automate and facilitate the insight discovery with the power of Google's machine learning, making it frictionless to get the most value from your data. In addition, it is going to unify the website and mobile app data, and GA4 takes major strides in machine learning to provide businesses with automated insights, predictive trends, and recommendations for your most profitable audience targeting. So now we have understood what are the benefits of GA4 property and how it can be useful for your businesses, and also looked at why we call it as the future of analytics. Now let us try to understand how GA4 collects the data. GA4 collects the data so Universal Analytics used to have the session-based model, but GA4 will have an event-based model. So the new way analytics collects and stores data enables many of the benefits of the latest Google Analytics experience. So rather than using just a session-based model, which groups user interactions within a given time frame, GA4 uses an event-based model, which processes each user interaction as a standalone event.
Abhijeet, before going ahead, can you please help a quick understanding on the user-based model and the session-based model?
Absolutely, Malvi. Yes, we are going to cover that. And so understanding difference between the user-based and session-based. So when I talk about session-based models, so in UA properties, analytics groups data into sessions, and these sessions are the foundation of all reporting. Since we have some newbies here with us, so I would like to inform the session is a group of user interactions with your website that take place within a given time frame. So whatever I do into a session, into a specific time frame, it combines into a session. So during this session, analytics collects and stores user interactions such as page views, events, e-commerce transactions such as hits. So this single session can have multiple hits depending on how a user interacts with your website. Coming on to the event-based model, when we see then GA4 properties, you can still see session data. It doesn't mean that there will be no session-related information. You will still have it, but analytics collects and stores these user interactions with your website or app as events. So events are nothing but everything that you do, be it a page click or anything on your app or mobile. Events, they provide insights on what's happening in your website or app, like button click, user actions, system events, anything that you do, it counts as events. So events can collect and send pieces of information that more fully specify the action that the user took or add further context to the event or user. right? So this information could include things like the value of purchase, title of page, or even a geographical location of the user. So UA, which is Universal Analytics, uses a session-based data model. And sometimes when we look at session, it has multiple events, multiple page views, something. But this sometimes results in a structurally complex and very computationally not so expensive model to manage. So being an analyst here, I have faced such scenarios where we have to try merging structured or semi-structured data with some structured data, and that really becomes a mess in UA, especially with the consistent increase in data volume. So moreover, there is a frequent need to streamline, store, and query these massive amounts of data without without losing any information. So now GA4 addresses this problem with an event-based schema solution where everything is an event. As a result, the GA4 processes the user's event as a standalone model with its unique parameters, ensuring that its database is flexible, scalable, and super fast when queried. Now, if you had now the thing is, when I say there is an event-based schema solution, so we should look for what is the event-based schema solution. When I say you should follow a schema, and we should see what are the already predefined events that we have in GA4. So let's have a look into those events, where I will help you understand how GA4 events are split, and they are split into 4 categories. So they are categorized into automatically collected events, enhanced measurement events, recommended events, custom events. When I talk about automatically collected events, there's language, location, referrer, title, screen resolution. These are automatically collected. Enhanced, it has a different feature where we are continuing on scroll or file download, which are already there but has been enhanced measure events. Automatically collected events are your first visit, session start, and user engagement. Such kinds of events are automatically tracked. And when I talk about enhanced measurement, they are page view, scroll, file download, and other things. And the custom events are nothing but the rest of the part, where there is no event which is already present, but you still want to do it, then you have an option to have a custom event. So let us look for now we have understood for these 4 different type of events. Now let us look at a schema of what I was trying to explain. Right. So this is the process of how you should plan the structure of your events, names and parameters. So it is by doing the following, where you check if the event that you want to track is among the automatically collected events or not. If not, then check if your event is mentioned among the enhanced measurement events. Example, scroll or a file download that you can check. Now, if it is still not going there, that means you can check the recommended events and their naming convention. If it's not even there, then you can create a custom event with an naming convention that you want. Right. So this comes to an option where you have 3 different type of events, and still if it doesn't match your requirement, then you can create a custom requirement as well.
Okay, so Abhijeet, this brings me to one question. What if any client is looking for just a data scroll, for just a scroll event or a page view tracking, and not other events which you mentioned under the enhanced measurement event tracking?
Yes, Malvi. So when I talk about the events tracked by enhanced measurement, so when you configure a web data stream in GA4, you have an option to use enhanced measurement. It is designed to help marketers get as many events in the reports as possible without the need to cooperate with the developers or configure in Google Tag Manager. So when we have different type of sessions and different type of events like page view, scroll, outbound link click, site search, file download, etc. But if there is a requirement where a client is just looking for enabling the events of just a scroll and page view, as you mentioned, then we have a feature where we can enable or disable them anytime.
That's great.
So we have that feature available with us, and we have recommended events, custom events. Whenever you feel like, you can get into those. So would like to mention one more thing about recommended events, is that when you try to pick the name for your first event, we should take a look at the automatically tracked events as well. Maybe those events are already being tracked and we should not track them again. And there are some list of enhanced measurement events as well for depending on the industries. So that document will be sharing it across with everyone so that they can have a look at those events and configure their events likewise. Eventually, now we have reached the last category of events in GA4. So the custom events, now you can set it up as you like. So configuration is pretty much identical to recommended events. The only difference is that you will need to come up with your own event names. You can name it as call to action, CTA_click, CTA, etc. Right? So you can do or name them as per your requirement and convenience. GA4 is completely flexible here. However, now we have understood that how flexible GA and its events can be. But there should be some limitations, and GA4 has certainly done that. So we have some limitations when it comes to configurations and also when it comes to collections as well. But there is nothing to worry about it because these limitations will be most of the times more than what we require. So let's go for the collection limits first. You can see on the screen, I've bifurcated these collection limits into different sets. So 500 will be your distinctly named events per app instance. You will have 25 event parameter per event. You will have 40 length of event parameter name, length of user property names, and even length of event name with length of user property values. You will have 100 length of event parameter value, and you can create 25 user properties. This comes when it comes to the event tracking and its collection, comes to a data collection part. But what about the configurations? So you can always have 100 audiences limits per property, 30 conversion limits per property, 50 custom insights, 200 funnels, 25 user properties, 10 million analysis sampling limits per query, and 200 analyses that you can do. Along with that, you get a feature of you can get a 14-month of data retention possibility. That's a great feature that they have added, and we will cover it further as well. So now we have looked into the data collection property, data collection, how this data gets collected, what are the features, benefits. Now, there are some scenarios where we might have come across, just give me what are the capabilities that GA4 goes on. Being a client, when we being into client-facing roles, we certainly have such clients where we get to know, they just want to know, give me just capabilities of GA4, why we should go for GA4. So there are multiple features that we can go through, but starting from one of my favorites is the cross-device insights. So we'll just go for that thing first, and then I'll go for the rest of the capabilities as well. So this near GA4 also has a bigger focus on cross-device tracking. It offers the ability to add the event tracking directly from the platform and is very privacy-centric. So I'll give a real-time scenario here. Like if I am going onto our e-commerce website now, I have multiple options. We are into digital era, and we can have browsing the website through browsing that e-commerce website through desktop, then purchasing through mobile or by tablet. So we can have multiple options where we can perform our journey and complete a conversion. But how to track all these things? So now GA4 has this focus on cross-device tracking, and in the scenarios where users often switch devices or profiles as they interact with the website, this latest analytics experience can deduplicate the users across data from different devices. This means this analytics can measure a single user journey across devices based on the best available user identifiers. So we have different user identifiers here in GA4. First is the user ID, then the Google signals, then device ID, and then it will choose the best available option for each situation. So it uses the Google sign-in data for your own identifier for the signed-in users, or seamlessly use both and will choose the best available option, right? So in GA4 properties, data is processed using all the available identity spaces. So the process will go like, it will have the user ID option as first, and the signals, and then it will go for the device ID as well. So these are the different options of what we get. And so GA4, so first analytics looks for the user ID, because this feature uses the data you collect. Next, it tries Google signals. And finally, if there isn't a match for either, it relies on the device ID. From there, analytics creates a single user journey from all the data that is associated with the same identity. And because these identity spaces are used in all reports, they allow you to deduplicate the users and tell a more unified, holistic story about the relationships with your business. Isn't that amazing? Like, you get to have a user tracking from a different identities. First, it takes user ID, then Google signals, and then device ID, and then helps you out with a holistic story about the relationship with the business. So this is the most important feature according to me, but we have a bigger capabilities as well, where I'll showcase it to you about the BigQuery export. There is a new feature that has come up, which is the new elapsed time feature. We have funnels, we have new pathing capabilities, we have real-time bugging. So these are the new different features. So coming to BigQuery export, so this is a very common query, or this is a very thought that comes to my mind. How about we integrating GA4 with BigQ? Since it was only available to GA360 commerce customers before, how about in GA4? So now GA4 includes a free integration with Google BigQuery for the first time ever. I strongly believe that this is the biggest update to Google Analytics that has happened. Previously, as we know, that this was only available to 360 customers. Now, since everything is event-based, now how about we want to know what is the time taken between these two events? So GA4 has a feature of new elapsed time feature, where we can easily answer how long it took your users to do almost anything. So we can check out this new elapsed feature in GA4 in the funnels report. There are also other changes with this introduction of engaged sessions, engagement time, and other metrics as well. So coming on to the next points, so these two are the very important features. Coming on to funnels and the new pathing capabilities and real-time debugging, I would like to mention here about the new pathing capabilities is that into GA4, now you can create meaningful pathing reports and perform analysis that was not possible in GA. So this type of reports, now you can select any event page as the endpoint and then work backwards for the most common paths. So this will come handy when a customer or a client asks us about what is the most common and popular path where my user travels to get a conversion. This especially happens for an e-commerce users or e-commerce website owners, and even for sometimes for publishers as well, and lead generations too. So these are mostly useful for those scenarios where we want to get some information on pathing capability. Since we have an option here for events modification, creation, and we can have multiple type of events. And since the UI is now different, so how about tracking those events as well? Do we know, or can we debug those events? So the answer here is yes. So with real-time debugging feature, we can monitor events from a web or a mobile app as they are triggered. So as soon as you configure them, you can watch them live flowing into your account or flowing on your website based on someone makes an action on those events. So you can track those real time as well. So there are some other capabilities as well, and we are not going to stop here. So the next and the few more capabilities are the improved identity management, which is nothing but the cross-device reports that we just went through. We have measurement protocol updates. We have simpler configuration settings. We have server-side events. We have automatic measurement. So there are different capabilities, and one of the best feature that I would like to highlight about a simpler configuration setting is one of the example here is cross-domain tracking. So you might have heard or might have had a scenarios where client is coming to you, or you had a question in your mind, how do I track user journeys across different domains? Now, there might be some websites who have different domains, and we want to track all those domains as a single user journey. So previously, you could not able to tracking of cross domain tracking without doing a code update or site or without Google Tag Manager. But in GA4, you can fully enable the cross domain tracking directly in the UI. How simple it is to understand that you just simply list the domains you want to link, and you can move on with your day. So I think that this is a real relief where we don't have to now depend on GTM or any other tech site, we can directly do it via UA. Now that's a great feature, I would say. So server-side events is one of the, again, a new feature where now we can use these feature into two ways. First is you can use to modify the existing events, where you have to get it implemented without needing to go back and update your existing web and app tagging. This can be used to fix casing issues, spelling mistake, or some other mistakes that even happen, prevent the events from being collected if they are broken or malformed. So you can get some information on that. And another feature or another way you can use this feature is to create new events from an existing event. So this would let you set up the custom conversions by creating a new event from something you care about, like example I can give here is video engagement, form fill, or any other important conversion event that happens. So these are the different type of capabilities or different capabilities, major capabilities that we can say that GA4 is strongly offering everyone. So by far we have covered the multiple features, new scenarios, benefits, and some amazing know-abouts. Now let's bring a summary to it and discuss about the key differences. Now let us go straight forward to understand what is the key difference between these two properties, GA4 and UA. And I'm sure that this part you must all be waiting for. So let's see what sets GA apart from UA. Yeah. So looking at these topics, we can have, first let's discuss about the measurement and the automation. UA gives you a measurement on session-based data model. GA4 has a flexible event-based data model, and it has some pinch of machine learning, which helps you throughout to improve and simplify the insight discovery. There are a lot of key differences that we'll go through, which are data model and data streams. GA4 will have a focus on users and their actions, which we just discussed, and it will have an UA standard property had a focus on sessions that were comprised of actions, and they aggregated them as users. And when we talk about data streams, so standard property did not have any streams because we had to create separate properties for web, iOS apps, and Android apps as well. But in GA4, since everything is just combines app or a web, we can directly have a property and no view for that. And we can create different streams for either an app or a website as well. When we come to historical data limit, in GA4, yes, you have a 14 months that can be accessed in the UI with unlimited data that can be stored in BQ. Since we just discussed that is a native connection in BQ and we can have an integration for that, yes, you have a feature where you can unlimited data can be stored in BQ. Talking about the baseline measurement, in GA standard properties, page views or screen views were the baseline. But GA4 offers you multiple things. Page views, screen views are obviously there. Apart from that, we have scroll depth, file download, outbound links, embedded YouTube engagement, and other parameters. When we talk about the engagement tracking of such properties, GA standard properties had bounce rate, time on site, page per session, average session duration, but GA4 offers you a variety of the same. It will give you engaged sessions, user that are on site at least 10 seconds, engagement rate, engaged sessions per user, engagement time, and even some time in the foreground within the apps. Sampling, yes, in standard properties there were some samplings. GA4 you will not get samplings, but yes, there are some stricter quotas, which we'll be sharing the documents later, so that you can read it about and get some more information on it. Is there any updated code base or on GA standard and GA4 properties? So we must be knowing UA properties had the code base as UA and then UID. But in GA4 properties, it is very straight and simple, just the GTAG measurement ID. So when we come to session or user analysis, it used to be happen with the segments. Now you have to create audiences for that. We have discussed about the BQuery. Native connection to BQ was only available for GA360 customers. GA4 property has a daily export to BQ. And since everything is based on events, it has been replaced with a flat event structure. And standard properties, we know it had event category, action, and label. When coming to custom metrics dimensions, yes, they are available still. in GA4 properties, they are available as events and views. When we talk about views, it was the account structure like account, property, and view. Standard property had views, but since we have data streams now, and since app and web is combined, there is no place for view in GA4. It will directly be a property. Since there are no views, there will not be filters as well in GA4, but you have the possibility of creating the reports directly as it stands today. And IP anonymization, it is not available by default, but it was possible in standard properties. But in GA4, it is set by default, and no, there is no way around it. When I come to reporting, so standard property had a limited cross-device and cross-platform reporting, where GA4 will give you a full cross-device and cross-platform reporting. So this was about all those key differences, and one of the major key differences which you can see on the screen, and is the pathing. Like, it had a limited pathing journeys into GA standard property, but in GA4 you can get backward pathing as well. And the feature that has remained intact on both the properties is the user explorer, right? So we have now went on to multiple key differences, multiple benefits, features of GA4. So let's go a bit deeper into GA4 and look about reporting and other parameters, other topics. But before that, over to you, Divya, for a quick poll, if you want to.
Thank you, Abhijeet. All right, guys. Before Malvi takes over, I have launched a poll to get an understanding on whether you all are finding this webinar to be interesting or not. Please take this quick poll and let us know. The poll is already featured. Yeah, so you can. We would like to know which feature of Google Analytics 4 will be most beneficial to your business. Will it be native connection to BQ, segment overlapping, pathing capability, or closed and open funnels? I'll run this poll for next 10 seconds and then we'll move on with the session. Awesome. Thank you so much for taking this poll. Over to you, Malvi.
Great. Thank you, Divya, for conducting the poll. Now, moving to the reporting section in GA4. So before that, I will just give a big thank you once again to all the participants for being a part of this webinar today. Whatever we'll discuss for reporting and analysis, I am sure this will be really helpful to the product managers, marketing managers, and analysts out there. Coming to what GA4 offers for reporting, GA4 offers us with the real-time reports where we can see a world map of the people currently viewing the website or app.
Malvi, I have a question here. Like, isn't it the same as a Google Analytics standard property or 360 property?
Yes, it is to more or less. However, we have one amazing feature called View Snapshot and in the Google Analytics 4 properties, where we can explore an individual user journey and the real-time engagement on the platform. Isn't this very amazing feature where, in the real time as well, you can see the user journey, what user actions are being performed under a section of report. Analytics reporting starts with a summary of your business that mirrors the funnel of acquiring, engaging, monetizing, and retaining the users. So isn't it just like a life cycle which goes on? Probably yes. Now, coming to the individual reports, acquisition report includes details about how people are finding your website, which indirectly provides us the information on marketing channels that people used to find your website. Next is the engagement report, which provides an understanding on the pages and the screens users are viewing. It also includes top-level metrics of users' engagement, which is basically the user stickiness metrics, the daily, weekly, and the monthly active users. Monetization, as the name suggests, these reports tell us about the value you are creating on your website and app. And last but not the least, retention report includes cohorts. So basically, cohorts are the group of are the users who have grouped into a similar characteristics. So with the help of that, you can see how often people come back to your website. Few of the examples of cohorts are user retention and user engagement. Now moving ahead, we have the user and the events report over here. Under user reports, we have demographic and the tech reports. Demographics are nothing but the user persona reports. So this provides us an insight on on all the user related dimensions, from where the user is coming, what is the age of user, what language might they be using, etc. For the tech reports, they provide us the tech reports is helpful to us in knowing from where the user are visiting the website. Basically, we can also check the user adoption and user tracking over there. For events report, we have all events and conversion reports. All events is nothing but whatever events we are tracking on our analytics. The list of all the events is being there depicted on the all events report. So it also includes manually instrumented events or the automatically collected events. And talking about the conversions, conversion report lets you view the number of conversions that are taking place on your website and app. You can use existing events that are already available in Google Analytics, or you can configure new events to be used as conversions in your reports. So how we can create an event as a conversion is as simple. So you just need to go to the all events report. There is a column of mark as conversion reports. You just need to enable that toggle and you are done. Your event will be marked as a conversion, and you will be able to see your events as conversions. So which events basically you can mark as the conversions are the ones which are very critical to your business. Now we talked about the reports which are available by Google Analytics 4. Let me also help you with understanding of how we can build the audiences. That is basically configurations. What configurations can we do in the Google Analytics 4? Audiences help in segmenting users in a various ways that are important to one's business. You can segment your users by dimensions, metrics, and events to include practically any subset of the user. Now let me show how can you create the audiences in GA4. So before that, I will just give an example of how export audience will be helpful here. So all the three user segment, filter reports, and export audience will be helpful here. User segments is basic. You can just segment out the users. You can do a right click on any of the reports and create a segment out of it and export it to audience. Again, you can filter, you can slice and dice your reports or the segments with multiple conditions available, and you can then export these audiences for better ROI on ad spend through complex and powerful audience building available in GA4. For creating a new audience, you just need to switch to the audience report. There you can click the new audience. You can create a custom audience, predictive audience, or you can choose creating an audience from the templates. Predictive audiences are available because of the machine learning capabilities that Google Analytics 4 offers us. Few of the examples of predictive audiences are likely first time 7-day purchase users, likely 7-day churning users, etc. And few of the examples of templates are demographics, technology, and acquisition templates, where you might have the detail related for demographics, you might have the details related to user persona, and for the acquisition, you might have the details related to the from where the users are coming from. You just need to fill in the inputs and you are good to go. Now, talking about the custom audiences, we can create custom audiences based on dimensions, metrics, and events. We can practically set the scope of all the three parts with the conditions available to us. We can choose from the top right menu an option of across all sessions. We want to create this audience across all sessions within the same session or within the same event. Then we can enter the dimensions. So dimensions that condition supports, either we want to set the dimension to be a static or we want it to be a dynamic. So by static, I mean you are providing a condition to the dimension that if app exception is my event, then it should is an dimension, then it should have the value a. And for the dynamic, if you left it to be untouched, then it will be the dynamic one. For the metrics, condition support time windowed metrics. For example, LTV, you are selecting an option in the metrics that you want the LTV to be greater than 5 in any 7-day period, right? And for filters and conditions, we have the options of providing the filters on and or conditions. Also, we have include and exclude conditions as and when necessary. We can apply it as and when necessary. You can also add sequence and specify the audiences. For example, your first step of the sequence would be first open event and second step would be in-app purchase. You need to repeat all the things which I mentioned above, that is setting up conditions, dimensions, and metrics, and we can create the sequence based audience as well. Post that, we have the membership duration, that is the look back window for the audience we want to set. Usually the membership duration ranges from 1 to 540 days, and we can set it to between any of this range for the look back window. Also, there is one really great update. As analytics gets new data about the users, their audience memberships are reevaluated to ensure that they still meet the audience criteria. If the latest data indicate they no longer meet the criteria, then they are removed from those audiences. The last is audience trigger. So this feature is an optional feature which is available while we build the audience. It is nowhere, it's not a compulsory event for building an audience. However, this feature is to get the users who are using the user who is using the Google Analytics 4, that is the companies you are using Google Analytics 4, they can just have an information that whenever any user falls under your audience, then an event will be logged in your all event reports, which will make sure that the criteria or the conditions for which you have set an audience and you have exported it to the Google Ads are working as per your expectations. Great, then you can click save option and then you are good to go for the audience creation. Now I will just show you that this is an option in template of the audience creation. You can set the sequence over here. You can add the events parameters and time frame over here. We can choose the dimensions and match the type from here, and we can enter our audience name and description over here. For the look back window, we can default is 30-day option, but we can set it to the maximum limit we want, and we can have the summary of the audiences over here. Right, when you click a save option, the audience trigger option will be enabled, will be shown to you guys. Okay. Coming to the next, next we have is comparisons. So comparisons let you evaluate the subset of your data side by side. You can apply the comparisons to just like a segment which you do in Google Analytics right now. So you can apply the conditions based on dimensions and the dimension values. You can click on the audience name. Sorry, there are various dimensions available. So for an example, one of the dimension you select is to be the gender, to be male, and then you want another dimension or another condition where you are saying that, sorry, another condition that you where you are saying that that applications or the operating platform should be Android. By this, you are selecting or applying a new condition and say applying a new condition saying you want to only check those users or figure out those users who are using or have behavior of these conditions in their user journey, right? You can set up to 5 conditions and yes, and then coming to the next part. Now we can see how we can build the segments. So on the screen we have 7 different type of segments. The 3 which we can see on the top left is user, session, and event, which we can we can create it customly. Entertainment, general, templates, and predictive are the ones which are given by the Google Analytics 4. Right now, I will just give an example for the user, session, and event segment. For the user segment, users who have previously purchased or the users who have added items to their shopping carts but didn't complete a purchase. Another example for event segment is all purchase events made in a particular location, app exception events that occurred on a specific operating system, etc. And for session segment, all the sessions that are originated from a particular advertisement campaign. The templates and the predictive audiences are similar to the one which I described earlier for while talking about the audience. And the entertainment and the general are the ones which are again sort of template which are given by the Google Analytics 4. You can just tweak it as per your conditions and you can save those segments and you can do the analysis from that. Coming to the, okay, so now here we have the analysis and insights part with us, right? So coming to the analysis part, analysis is a set of powerful audience discovery and comparison tool. It provides free, fast, and flexible analysis which helps in explore, discover, compare, and act on the audiences. Analysis lets you easily configure and switch between a number of analysis techniques. You can drill down into the data, sort and refactor it, add or remove those dimensions and metrics quickly and easily. You can also apply filters and segments to them on and that's which are most relevant to you. So this analysis hub features were only available to the GA360 users previously, whereas in Google Analytics 4 properties free, it is available to all of the users. Once you discover the interesting data, you can export them to Google Analytics segments or audiences. You can also share this analysis with your stakeholders throughout your organization and beyond. Coming to the first analysis, which is advanced funnel analysis. Advanced funnel analysis helps us visualize the steps the users are taking to complete a task and quickly see how well they are succeeding or failing at each step.
Yeah, Malvi, I have a use case here. It looks like we are talking about the open and closed funnels. So one of the use cases that comes on top of my mind is the e-commerce funnel. So the analysis that we create out of closed and open funnels is completely different here. it looks like I can create a different analysis out of closed funnel and different analysis from open funnel. From a closed funnel, looks like I can visualize my drop off, and through open funnels, I can plan my strategies in terms of marketing and new ways of selling the identity, identifying the user's entry on each step. So it looks like this is a complete amazing thing that we are able to see as closed and open funnel options.
Right. So basically, you can define one step, say, for example, from home to PLP to PDP and cart, and finally the transaction, and you can make the same funnel to be open or closed just with the help of toggle. So this is a great thing which is available over here. We can also identify the drop-offs between each of the funnels or between each of the steps. Right. Coming to the next report, which is the path analysis report. This helps us explore the user journeys in a tree graph. Path analysis techniques also helps with few of the things like discovering what action users take after an app exception, uncover the looping behavior which may indicate users becoming stuck at some point of time in their journey, and determining the effects of an event on subsequent user actions.
So, Malvi, this is the same report where we can get the tracking of the looping behavior, right, of users, where exactly they go for.
Right, Abhijeet. Okay. So, for other analysis, we have exploration, segment overlap, user explorer, user lifetime, and cohort analysis reports available with us. The exploration reports basically provides us the data in a tabular format. You can switch between the rows and columns the way you like to see the data. For the segment overlap, you can isolate the specific audiences based on the complex condition. For example, we can use it for finding the intersection of the new users, mobile traffic, and the converter segment. This will help us, in having a segment or a condition where all the three intersection happens at which point of time and how many audiences are falling over there. User Explorer reports helps in understanding individual behavior. So it is very important to understand the individual behavior when you want to personalize the user experience or when you need to gain the insight into or troubleshoot a specific user flow. For example, if you want to analyze the behavior of a user who has unusually high average order value, or see where a user ran into a trouble while placing an order. For the user lifetime reports, it helps this reports helps in having an understanding on the user lifetime metrics. For example, this gives us the total value of your users even if they have made a purchase outside the current date range. The cohort, as the name suggests, analysis allows to explore the behavior of the groups over the time on your app or the site. For example, all users who have the same acquisition date belong to the same cohort. Right. Now, coming to this part, analytics intelligence is a set of features that uses machine learning and conditions you configure to help user understand and act on your data. So this is basically an insight part which Google Analytics 4 offers us. Though we have 2 reports right now available with us, but Google is planning to provide more reports as well. So here, Google Analytics uses machine learning capabilities to provide us 2 insights. One is the automated insights and the custom insights, and the insights based on anomaly detection. What are the automated insights? Under automated insights, Google Analytics detects the unusual changes or emerging trends in your data and notifies you automatically on the insights dashboard, which we have on the Google Analytics interface within the analytics platform. You can also tweak this analysis, and you can ask Google Analytics to send you custom insights by applying the conditions you want. You can ask Google Analytics to provide you an alert or provide you an insight on the same dashboard when that conditions had been triggered or has been met. You can set up to 50 custom insights per property. Coming to the anomaly detection is a statistical technique that analytics intelligence uses to identify the anomalies in the time series data for a given metric. Here we have anomaly detection in two fronts. One is with the metrics over period of time and within a segment at the same point of time. So let's understand what is the difference between these two. For the metrics over time, intelligence applies a Bayesian state space time principal model, time series model, to the historic data to predict the value of the most recent data point in the time series. This model produces a prediction and a credible interval that we use to evaluate the observed metric and provides us an anomaly accordingly. While within a segment at the same point of time uses the principal component analysis to leverage the correlation structure of metrics along with the cross validation to flag the anomalies and send us an alert. These are the great features actually which were not available in the Google Analytics standard property or 360 as well, right? Now coming to the prerequisites of setting up the Google Analytics 4 property. Google Analytics 4 property have two data streams. One is the app data stream and another is the web data stream. For app data stream, it becomes compulsory to set up a Firebase SDK. If there is no Firebase SDK in place, we cannot use the app data stream. Whereas for web data stream, we should have the implementation of gtag.js, which is a native implementation, or a GTM integration configured on the website. Coming to the summary of the report. So I believe with this, we have covered all the topics of the GA4 introduction. Just to summarize the key learnings from today's webinar, we discussed how GA4 will be helpful in future, followed by benefits of GA4. We then also looked into the new capabilities that GA4 offers us. Further, we discussed the key difference in the universal analytics and GA4 properties like measurement, data model, engagement tracking, etc. We then looked into the reports that GA4 generates and how we can produce different reports using exploration, funnel, path analysis, etc. and generate the insights with the help of ML and ML that GA4 offers us. Right. Apart from that we also looked into how we can create the audiences and export to the Google Ads, and in end we looked into the prerequisites for setting up the GA4 property. A big thank you to all the participants for being a part of the webinar today. I'll be handing over the mic. I will be handing over to Divya now, and for the last poll and the question answer round. Divya, over to you.
Thank you so much, Malvi. All right. So before we go for Q&A part, I would like to conduct a quick poll on today's webinar. Your feedback is utmost important to us here. So please do let us know if you find this webinar as resourceful as you had accepted it to be. The poll is already live. You guys can start giving the poll. Okay, so I see a few more people responding. So I'll wait for 5 more seconds. Great. Okay, thank you everyone for your response. We will now open the session for Q&A. It looks like we have few questions from you guys, and we also had gathered few questions through our LinkedIn and Instagram polls. Also, I saw a couple of you raising your hand during the webinar. So I would request you to type your questions in Q&A, and I will take them up in the Q&A session. We are going to answer all of these here, so you get a complete picture of what could be. Because we have a time constraint, so in case if any questions are unanswered, we will email you with the detailed answer for the same. Okay, so starting with, we have our first question from Akhilesh. So he wants to know that can GA4 be standalone, or does it have to be integrated with defined database? So Abhijeet, will you like to answer this?
Yes, Divya. So I can see the question here is that can GA4 be standalone, or does it have to be integrated with the defined database, right? This is the question. So yes, GA4 can be standalone. It doesn't need to have to be an integrated with a defined database. You can, if you are looking for a new property, or if you are trying to set up a new GA4, it has to be it can be standalone for your request per your requirement.
Yeah. So to add further to it, we just need to set up a tracking code, and so basically you just need to set up a tracking code for gtag.js for your website, or for app you just need to integrate a Firebase, and you can do it, even have the GA4 ready for tracking of your data.
Correct. So as per your requirement, you can get a GA4 standalone as well.
Great. Akhilesh, I hope your question has been answered. I see you have a couple of more questions. I'll try to cover them as well. So the next question we have is from Viraj. He has a question that how long does it take to upgrade or implement GA4 to full enhanced e-commerce equivalent?
Right. I can take it up, Divya.
Sure, Abhijeet.
Yeah. So Divya, for Viraj, sorry, this question was asked by Viraj. So Viraj, for an upgrade to GA4 from existing UA enhanced e-commerce via GTM, this can be pretty quick, like an hour or two. And if you just transform the data layers to the format required for GA4, so there are some templates as well which are available. We can also share it across with you, and then you can just use those templates, and it is good to go. It would take just a note here that I can say that it would take longer if you need to write the instructions for the developers to create and upgrade the data layers. But since the events parameters, I can say it are pairs already well defined, so it should not take that long either. But personally, if you ask me, that mapping UI events to GA4 events is what I found the most sometimes time consuming as well, as you need to think about the naming, especially for the parameters. Now, we have some limits, which I just discussed into the webinar. There are some limits on everything. So sometimes it takes time when you think about the naming, especially for the parameters, and it has to be remain under the 50-50 limits as well. So I hope I have answered your question, like how long does it take? It doesn't take long, but depends on the requirement and other things. Thinking about naming conventions, it may take a bit more time.
Thank you, Abhijeet, for a detailed answer. Moving on, the next question we have is from Tejal, who has asked, how can we use GA4 and BigQuery integration? Malvi, would you like to take this up?
Yeah, sure. BigQuery export opens up the availability for you to export all of your raw data to the Google Analytics event data. So how BigQuery will be helpful is, previously this feature was only available to the 360 client, whereas this meant if you were to use Google Analytics standard, there was no idle method to export or to get an access to the underlying raw event data in the platform, right? However, this makes really challenging to deal with the advanced Google Analytics needs, like getting unsampled reports, connecting with other reporting visualization platforms like Tableau, or integrating your data sets like CRM or ERP systems, or marketing the data warehouse. So with the new Google Analytics version, as you have a free BigQuery integration, this all problem will not be there, and this is like what we can say, it's a bliss for all the free users which are there for GA4.
So with this new version of Google Analytics, this is no longer a problem. You can get ensemble reports, connect with other reporting visualization platforms as well, and try to get it integrated with other data sets as well, like your CRM or any marketing data warehouse. If you want to get connected, I can see there was one question as well on how if I can be integrated with some existing ERP as well. So checking the feasibility, post checking the feasibility, yes, we can integrate those third-party visualization platforms or any other platforms as well.
Right.
So with this GA4, it's no longer a problem. We can do that with help of BigQuery integration.
Great. So Akhilesh, I hope your second question has also been answered. So moving to the next question we have from Surendra Kumar. His question is, GA4 now use events to track data, and the scheme looks similar to Firebase. So what is the difference between GA4 and Firebase now? When to choose which?
Right. This is a good question, Surendra. So Google Analytics and Firebase more or less are dependent on the event-based schema model, right? Now, when to choose which is Firebase has a very basic reporting. You cannot create, analysis hub. You cannot create your custom analysis in Firebase properties, but you can do that in Google Analytics 4. More or less, Google Analytics 4 offers in-depth reporting as well, and Google Analytics also have the website integrations with them, which Firebase do not have.
So basically, it is more towards app, and for GA4, it gives you a more solid performance towards new features, new capabilities, which Firebase did not have. It is built on the back of Firebase, but it has certainly more features which we went through about on new capabilities. If we have went through those new capabilities, so those capabilities have been enhanced into GA4. So when we have a web and app, we should go for GA4.
Right. Also, when you are building an application, Firebase is more helpful when you want to develop an application, you want to run any predictions, or you want to grow your application in terms of having cloud messaging services, etc. Then Firebase is for sure a good tool to use for. I hope this answers your query, Surendra.
All right. We will move ahead with the next question, which is from Nizar. He wants to know, is content grouping and channel grouping available in GA4?
Yes, I can take it, Divya. So this content grouping and channel grouping available in GA4, if I have understood it correct. So currently there is no way that you can have a content grouping or channel grouping, but I have heard it before that like it might be planned in the upcoming feature releases. There are still some ways where we can have a content grouping and channel grouping as well, but this is a very deep conversation that we can have. So by default, it is not available, but yes, there are some other workarounds where we can have content grouping and channel grouping in GA4. So it needs to have a bit deeper conversation on this. So a straightforward answer for this could be that no, currently it is not available by default, but might come in future releases.
Great. Thank you, Abhijeet. So we will take 2 more questions. Okay. Moving ahead, we have this question from Archana, where she has asked, will it require any changes on the GTM if I want to migrate the property to GA4? Malvi, can you answer this question?
Yes, sure. I will answer that question. So this question, firstly, Archana, is a very good question. This has been asked by many of our clients to us. So answering that question, Abhijeet previously answered to one of the question where one of the one of the attendees asked that how can we how long does it take to upgrade or implement the GA4 to NSD Commerce equivalent? So similar is the answer for this question as well. However, NSD Commerce is not only everything, but if you want to fully change or move to the Google Analytics 4 property using GTM, then you need to update the code base. First, you also need to check if you're using the latest GTM version, which is the GTM v5 version, because the GTM v4 versions are now deprecated as from very long time, and the only versions which are live now is the GTM v5 version. We just need to move or switch all the data, all the events hit or the page view hits and all the screen view hits to the GTM v5 version. We need to have some of the code based changes, and if you also have the GTM for app, then you need to implement this app to the Firebase version, because now only GTM for app will not work. Firstly, then if you still want to use GTM, we can still use GTM for the application, but Firebase integrations is there or compulsory for the application or the app data stream data, app stream data to be coming into Google Analytics 4. So accordingly, if you ask me about the timelines on this, then it solely depends on how many events, page views, and screen views are you tracking. If it's a small site, then it might take up to 2 to 3 days, and if it's like up to 50 or 100 odd events and page views, it might take up to 2 to 3 weeks.
Great. Thank you, Malvi, for that detailed answer. So the last question for today's session is from Hemang. He wants to know, at the launch of GA4, it was not possible to connect or integrate it with Search Console. Do we now have that option readily available, or any other alternative options? If alternative, you can share me a method over email. It is okay. So yeah.
Okay. I might take that question up. So right now, the integration of in Google Analytics 4, we have only 2 integrations available with us, which is Google Ads and BigQuery. So yes, the integration for Search Console is still not there with us, Himang. And any alternative or not, we might look into this more deeper.
Currently, no, I don't think there is a proper alternative on it, but we can surely look forward or discuss internally and check on that. But
get back to you over email for this.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone, for participating in today's webinar. We appreciate you being here. You will receive an email with the remaining answers to the question and today's session recording. And yeah, you can also find the link of this today's session's recording on our LinkedIn page and Tatvic's website. So our next webinar will be announced shortly, and we look forward to seeing you there. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.